All right, hello. Thanks guys for joining. We're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to be sharing some really great features from our new spring release today. I'm Shelby Ferris, the marketing manager at Bright Pattern. I'm going to be moderating today's presentation. We also have Nick Deininger here with us. He's our solutions engineer and he's going to be demoing the features for you today. We will have a Q&A section at the end of the webinar, so feel free to submit questions through the GoToWebinar panel at any point during the presentation. We do also have Konstantin, our CTO, and Sergey, our product manager, on the line to answer any technical questions. We're also going to be recording today's presentation, and I'll make sure to send that out to everyone registered either later today or tomorrow morning. We have several new features we're going to be walking you through today. We're going to be showing you how to use them as well as telling you some of the benefits of each. Several of our new features combine to create a new and easy to use agent workplace that improves agent engagement. And we've also added enterprise and global features as well as AI to our platform. So let's go ahead and jump in. The first section we're going to be presenting is the new agent desktop and some features that we've built into it.
All right. Well, thanks, Shelby. As Shelby mentioned, my name is Nick Deininger, and I'm a sales engineer here at Bright Pattern. So the first thing we're going to talk about here is our new agent desktop. So it's important to know, too, that we have several new features. So one of them is the agent home screen. So that's what you're seeing here. So it's going to be customizable, and we have you'll see that we have first call resolution, NPS, and customer satisfaction. But we're also showing this particular agent's stats versus the rest of the team. So we have the ability to hover over these and see some of the tool tips, and there's just kind of a dashboard that's been set up for this particular agent. We also have an internal group chat that's been set up. So if I click on my chat center here, you'll see that we've got personal chats as well as group chats, and we can see the history of these group chats as well. So anytime there's members that you need to add, you can just simply click on the top right here and add new members to the chat. And then this chat can also be viewed by other people as well as from a historical point of view as well. So one of the major features, as you guys know, is that we're an omni-channel platform. So we're going to have some omni-channel conversations going on here as well. So you'll notice first that this new UI has it's been kind of completely redesigned in terms of being able to access those channels and calendar events and emails and things like this. So one of the important things to note is that we have a single entry with conversation context, and we'll talk a little bit about that as we move through this presentation. And then we also have the ability to hop to different channels while still understanding the context and understanding who the customer is that we're talking to. And we can talk as an agent to this customer on multiple channels. So we can match the incoming interactions to the existing sessions that are present. So what we'll do is we'll start out here with an email. I'll just double click on this email, and you'll see that we can show and hide the conversation, or as I like to call it, the interactions menu. And you'll see that we've got different parts of this email that's all related to our case. So the case will come in, and we'll talk a little bit about cases as they relate to our contacts in here. So the case will come in as an email, and we can keep track of all of this, the back and forth messages. We can keep track of all of the case notes that have been left by the agent as well. And we can also make use of our knowledge base on the right-hand side here. So if I need to, I can search through the knowledge base, and I can also search for specific articles or use these as email templates in here. So I can highlight over that, and I can click use, and we can populate that into the email and send that out. We can also disposition, of course, those emails as well. So while we've got this email going on, again, it's going to be related to our contact, who is Nick here. So I've got an agent who is Alice, and I've got a customer that's named Nick. And we're talking on email, but what we can do is start a chat conversation here as well. So I'm just using an example here. I'm a gamer. I like video games. So I thought that we should create a bot around this. So I just happen to like Blizzard games, so we're just using this as an example. But of course, we can front end these conversations with bots through IBM Watson. So one of the major features we've released here is IBM Watson, which we'll talk about in a little bit when we talk about AI. But just for now, we can just know that we can front end with the bot. This goes to the scenario, and we are integrating with IBM Watson in this case. Of course, we're going to be adding additional providers in the future, and we'll talk about that too. So in this case, I've just called this bot Liz, and it's the Blizzard bot. And what can we help you with? Well, we can ask this bot questions, or we can ask it to tell us something. So tell me about events, for example. And it's going to tell us about BlizzCon. Of course, you could say, tell me about BlizzCon. Or what games do you have? So again, you can set all of this up in our bot, and then if you want, you can also escalate it to a representative. So in this case, what games do you have? I'm just going to say Diablo, and it's going to give us a link. So again, it's very, very customizable. But what's cool is we can bring this bot into the chat, and then I'll show you in just a second how we can pass that context over. So in this case, we want to escalate to a representative, and it's going to connect us to this representative here. So our system is smart enough to recognize that we're already talking to Nick on email, and so we can then escalate this to the same agent that we were talking to. So you'll see here that I've got a predefined message. I can send that over. And you'll also see that we have the context of the conversation here. So we came in on chat. We've got the context of the conversation here. We're talking to this person on email and chat. And we've got a form builder, which we will also talk about later in this conversation. And we also have the ability to, again, review that context and use these predefined messages. So we're talking to this customer on chat and email at the same time. So one of the things I mentioned earlier is that we can hop to different channels. So email to chat, for example. We can also do chat to another channel. So we could do SMS, for example. So if we wanted to switch to SMS, all we have to do is click on this menu. It's a drop-up menu, and we click on SMS. So now we're talking on SMS to the same person because it's all related, again, to that contact. And then I just got this on my phone here. So I will just open that and respond accordingly. So we'll just say hello, and it's going to send that message over. And basically what we're doing is we're just continuing the conversation on SMS. So you could do the same thing with other channels. And I believe that we're the only provider that's providing MMS functionality at this time. So I'll just send an MMS picture. It's going to take a second here to upload. But what we can do while we're waiting for that is look at the contact information. So we're going to talk a little bit about customer recognition and context retention here in just a second. So I'm waiting for that MMS. And I'm actually going to flip to Facebook Messenger as well because we do integrate with social messenger platforms such as Twitter DM and WeChat and Line and these different social messenger applications. So there's my picture coming through on MMS, and the agent is able to click it and review it. And then what we can do is just switch back to that chat, of course. And then the next thing we could do is just flip to Facebook Messenger. So again, we're trying to make it very easy to hop between channels and give the customer the opportunity to use the channel that they want to communicate with us on, versus the other way around and forcing these people to talk in channels that we've predefined. So here we are. We did Facebook Messenger. We just switched to Facebook, and now we're talking to Nick on his Facebook account. So again, we can channel switch very easily, and we're able to have a true omni-channel conversation there as well. So we'll just flip back to chat for now. All right, so that is the new agent desktop. Again, we're going to kind of cover some more things on that as it relates to that. But so we've got also customizable reports and wallboards. I think what we'll talk about here actually is some of the reporting features. So we've done a couple of things to improve the reporting in Wallboards. So I think actually what we'll do is we'll actually just do this here real quick. So we'll do the customer recognition and context retention first. So what we have is we have a number of different ways of maintaining context between the conversations. So what I'll do is I'm going to initiate another chat here with the same bot. So we'll just skip ahead and just initiate another channel here. So we'll open that up. And so now we've got two interactions here with the context, right? So we've got Ivan and we've also got Nick. So we've seen Nick switch to different channels, and we are able to switch between the different contexts here. So we can resume the experience in context from any point. So we can look at the contact information here. So I can hover over Nick and see his information, click on Nick, and it's going to give me the activities that has happened. So anytime there's a voice call, which we can transcribe again through Watson, and then we also have any chats, SMS. Every single activity that we've done is going to be recorded in this activities, and it's going to be related to the client, to the contact. So we're able to go through, and it's a chronological history of everything that's occurred. So you'll see as I go down, it's going to go older activities, and we're able to track back to basically everything that has occurred there as well. Now, looking at Nick's details, one of the other features that we released is native CRM capabilities. So what this means is we can identify the customer, and we can use either our internal CRM or we can use an external CRM. Now, another thing we've released is the ability to augment data. So we've integrated with some augmentation providers, primarily Nextcaller and the Data Group. So not only is this form below here customizable in terms of adding things like segment and summary and things like that, but I can click on edit and I can edit these fields, but we can also augment the fields. So maybe we get data back from Nextcaller or the Data Group. We're able to augment that data and bring it in to make sure that we have up-to-date, accurate information for that as well. So really what we're doing is we're focusing on context and the activity history here as well for a specific contact. Now we also have support for cases as well. So what the cases are for is basically a topic. So the case is a topic. You can have multiple conversations going on. It can be by use case. And then we can create new cases. Emails can come in as cases, and then we can attach those the case history to the history to the case itself. So these activities can be arranged into topics, and everything is going to be available as a transcription as well. So every voice call can be transcribed if you want per service. And then in addition to that, we can obviously capture the transcription on the chat. So really quickly, what I can show you is we have this section of the reporting, and we'll talk a little bit about reporting later, but we have this patterns section. And what patterns is because we're transcribing voice and we're capturing chat and SMS and all these different text-based channels, we can create a word cloud out of that. So all of the words that are bigger are going to be said more often, and all of the smaller words are said less often. So it gives us an idea of what's actually being said. And you'll notice here at the top that we have some filters here related to the dates, also related to whether it's the customer or the agent that is saying those. So the call transcriptions are with Watson, and all interactions are going to be visible as transcripts. And again, we have this customer patterns piece. So it's a word cloud in a specific time interval that you've specified, and it's also by service as well. So that's a major feature, the customer recognition and context retention, because you really can't have an omni-channel platform unless you understand who the customer is and being able to maintain that context through the different channels. All right. So I think this is a good segue to reporting. So we've got customizable reports and wallboards, which we will spend some time talking about. So what we've done is we've done a couple of different things. So we've updated the UI for reporting. So you'll see that we've got the agent timeline, which you're familiar with. We've also got a number of different out-of-the-box reports. So we'll show you a couple of these reports. We've got the filters down below here, so we can just run these reports. And the UI for reporting is updated. So we're trying to make it a little bit easier to use in general. You're not going to lose any functionality in this version, but we can actually schedule reports from here. So on some regular interval, we're able to schedule that. And then we can also customize this report. So if I click on customize, you'll see that we're able to just drag and drop. It's a new UI. We can drag and drop certain fields in here. We can rename and resize these fields. So, this could be calls if you want, and however you'd like to do it. So we tried to make it very easy to be able to customize reports in our platform. And we also have added support for graphical features as well. So there's a couple of examples of that, but we'll look at the service and time with graphs. We just, we fill out the filters here with the dates, and we'll just go ahead and run that. And then we have all of the different fields that we're looking at. And then if we go skip ahead here, we've got some visualizations. So again, this is going to be customizable. We can show different kinds of graphs and charts. The other thing that we've added is that custom fields can be propagated from the beginning of the interaction and used in reports. So what this does is it allows customer related information in your reports. For example, for every call, we may decide that we want to add the customer ID or account ID or whatever custom fields you want to the report, and we can define them in the report so that you're able to get even more customization in your reports as well. So just to recap on that real quick, we've updated the report UI, customization UI. We have the capability to rename reports and edit the columns, as well as add custom fields to the reports. And then the final thing here I'll mention is that we have a wallboard editor. You can create and customize your own wallboards here. So, we may switch between them, and there's different themes, for example. And then you can decide how you want to visualize this data. So it could be just a spreadsheet here, like you see on the top with the agents. It could be graphs, it could be gauges. You can set up thresholds, and then you can come in here and you can edit it. So when you edit it, you're just going to click on the statistics, and then again, there's gauges. You can set up thresholds, sounds, and then all these different statistics, which are also available by way of the API, can be put in here too. So we decide how we want to visualize this. It can be big numbers, percentages. You can resize these widgets. You can add new widgets, and move them around as well. So there's a lot more that we've added to the customizable reports, and I think we've done a pretty good job of making sure that we have all of the data there in a real-time or historical format as well. All right, so moving on to the next topic here, we'll talk about workflow, also known as enterprise process automation. So we introduced the concept of enterprise process automation, and part of that is workflows. So the workflows are going to be set up here, and the workflows are different than scenarios, although the UI is going to be similar. I'm going to show you that in just a second, but the main difference here is that it's based on triggers. So it could be a specific disposition. If somebody uses a specific disposition, you will execute this workflow based on something you've set up, and it could be also based on sentiment. So you can have one scenario and then it may branch off into multiple workflows. So it's not necessarily tied to a specific interaction or scenario. But what it does is it gives the capability to customers to do things after the transaction ends. And when we look in here, I'll just double click on this. The UI look and feel is the same as the scenario. So there's no need to learn anything new. It's the same look and feel and capabilities. We've just added it, they're executed in a different way. They're based on triggers. So just to mention a few examples of how this could be used, and by the way, the sky is the limit on this. You can really do whatever workflow you want after the fact. And again, it's just based on whatever trigger that you want. So just a couple of examples of this. What you're seeing here is the case approval type of workflow. So what happens is somebody uses, the trigger is somebody uses a non-final disposition of needs approval. And so we execute this workflow. So what happens is we move this case approval to our case approvals queue, and then we wait for somebody to approve it, and then we assign it back to that same agent. Now you could do other things. Let's say you set it up on sentiment, you get negative sentiment, maybe you want to follow up with that person because they were upset during the conversation. Maybe you want to do an SMS confirmation. So you could actually send out a message to their phone number, and we could do an SMS type of confirmation after the fact. So maybe we made a sale, we want to confirm that with the person, we'll send them a text message there as well. Another example could be customers want to send surveys at the end of the transaction or later, either that day or the next day. So we can actually send out a survey, post-contact survey, based on the disposition. So whether or not they were actually satisfied with the support they received or the answer they received or the sale, whatever use case it happens to be, we can set up workflows around that. So workflows is really a powerful tool that kind of extends scenarios a little bit. So the scenario is going to be what happens when the interaction comes in, and workflow is going to be based on a specific trigger. And again, you don't have to learn anything new. So we're giving capabilities to customers to do things after the transaction ends, and the look and feel is basically the same as the scenario. It's just for a different purpose. So that is workflows in a nutshell as well. So moving on to the next topic here, we've got artificial intelligence. So modular artificial intelligence, AI assist. This is a major part of the platform. This is something that obviously is a very up and coming thing. It's already being used in contact centers today. So in order to adapt to the market, we've integrated with IBM Watson service. So if you remember from earlier, we had in our activities, we've got several call transcriptions that we have. So you remember that from earlier, we used IBM Watson for this. So there's going to be other services. We'll be supporting other transcription providers with this new UI. Right now, there's a native integration out of the box with IBM Watson, but we also use Reply AI and Altera. Some of you may already be using this in production as well. So we're doing, again, sentiment analysis, so you can see the neutral sentiment, and then perhaps we have we'll just go back here, and we're talking to this person. We'll just make sure that this person is obviously talking like they're happy here, and just going back to Alice. So you can see here that we've got the badge. So Ivan said something. We've seen that he's had 2 messages, and then he's got a positive sentiment. So I can send that message over, and then you'll see if I click on this face, it's going to tell me which interactions were deemed as positive by IBM Watson. So it's kind of the overall sentiment analysis there. Now, additionally, we're going to be adding support for Google NLU and Bot Framework, as well as Microsoft Bot Framework. And so, anytime, and we do the sentiment on all the channels, by the way. So it's not just voice, but we can detect it on chat. And this is really, for us, just the beginning. We just started with Watson. We're going to be doing a lot more. And then, the bots allow us to capture that sentiment as well, so we can interact with the bot from the scenario. And then also in the scenarios here, just going back real quick, I'm just going to go to our chat scenarios. We've added a couple of additional items here. So you'll see here that we have the chat bot. So this is where we can ask a bot. In this case, it's going to Watson. So we've added this as part of the scenario flow. So again, the scenario is going to have everything before it's routed to the agent, and it's going to obviously be a bot is going to be part of that. And you guys saw that when I demonstrated the bot, the Blizzard bot that I was interacting with. So just to recap on that real quick, we're doing sentiment analysis on all channels, not just with chat, but we're also doing it on voice, and we're also doing it on SMS, any text-based channels. We're using natural language keyword extraction for email routing. So it'll show up in the emails as well. So in the team queue here, we've got a little smiley face, and then so it's a baseline for other AI platforms to be part of our solution as well. So we started with IBM Watson, and we have a plan to extend that as well. So again, we're going to do Google NLU and Bot Framework, and then Microsoft Bot Framework as well. And then additionally, just real quick, we have this. We've tried to streamline integrations as much as we can. So you'll see that we've got several messengers here. We've got Line, Twitter, we've got bots, but you can add you can add an integration with different things as well. Amazon AWS, we have an integration with S3, so we can drop recordings in there. So we're able to do a number of different things with integrations and bring them in, and it's we've tried to streamline them as much as we can. All right, so that is AI. Now we talked a little bit about this already, social messengers and MMS, but just to recap on it, we can integrate with WeChat, Line, Viber, and then I believe we're the only MMS provider out there for bringing MMS pictures into the contact center. All right, so another major feature that we've added is the form builder. So we'll talk a little bit about this. Now, an example of this is, let's just go back here. So going back to our agent desktop, and let's click on this. And so this is an example of a form, okay? So previously, the width was fixed. It was tough to edit. You had to do sizing. It wasn't really conducive to the environment. So what we did was we completely redesigned it. So we come in here, and we've got these activity forms. So we click on the activity forms. And by the way, the old forms are still supported, but if you want to create a new form, that is going to be in our new builder here. So we'll just look at one that's already been created. And we enhanced our form builder because we have a built-in CRM. So it's not just the agent script, it's actually related to contacts too. So we can pre-populate information. You'll see that there's different sections here, but again, that fixed width is important because you can resize the sections and drag and drop specific objects in here. So things like buttons, for example, those can be dragged in here. But again, it's a drag and drop interface as well. And so what you can do too is create multiple pages. So here's some of our pages. So we'll say second page, we'll add another one of third page, add that, we'll hit OK. I'll take that. All right, and so we've got several different pages here. And then our button can be based on different things. So the forms are going to be used for agent script, the CRM. It's conditional, it's multi-page, and can be driven by context. So what that means is we'll show where they are in the business process. So on the button, we can do an action. So maybe we call a number, maybe we go to a specific page, and we can choose second or third page. And so these forms are, we wanted to make them easier to edit. We wanted to make it flexible to any screen layout. So just, the page navigation buttons and then the contact information. So, if we wanted to have specific data, if we, let's just go to text block, right? So let's edit that. We can do data fields. So these data fields are going to be part of the contact mapping. So again, we can pre-populate the contact information. We can use this information. It's supposed to be really tightly integrated to the contact management's part of the platform. So we really wanted to, just to recap on this, we wanted to make it flexible to any screen layout. We wanted to make sure that it's integrated with the CRM, and we wanted to make it flexible, conditional, multi-page, driven by context, and show where they are in this particular business process. So we tried to make it a lot easier to use, a lot nicer looking, and very tightly integrated to the contact management piece of that as well. And again, it's pretty easy to just populate these, and this is kind of what it would look like. Oh, in addition, we also have a preview option, so we can preview these forums. That's the button I just added, but of course you can split the sections and pre-populate it with something. So this one's being pre-populated with the names. So there's an editable view here as well in the preview mode. So that's really exciting. I'm really excited about the form builder. It's used for scripts. It can be used for a variety of different purposes, but the important thing is it's tightly integrated with the CRM piece as well. All right, so what we'll talk about is just some additional enhancements here. So we'll just go back to the slideshow. So we also have integrated SAML 2.0 through services like Okta, ForgeRock, and ADFS. So if you're using one of these systems for SAML, you don't have to create users and add passwords. It improves the experience of not just the agent, but the administrator as well. So it makes it easier for them to administer this through different solutions. You'll just have to change the role once they're created, but it also helps ensure that the security level is maintained among all applications that the agent logs into. So we won't know about them until they log in, but from the moment they log in, we'll give them a default role. We'll create an account on our side, and these are going to be easy to set up and configure as well. And then we also have this advanced integration ecosystem. So you'll see there's a number of different integrations that we have, and we're always adding more. Now, another thing too that's very important is we're about to release an embeddable HTML widget. So what this means is we can have an agent desktop into any web-based application, such as a custom CRM. So we're doing this today with Salesforce, and different Zendesk and these right now, but what we're doing is we're releasing this widget to be able to bring our application into any custom CRM. So that's really exciting because it really just makes CRM integrations very easy. We have several BPO clients that would find this useful, and it's certainly very exciting because it's going to make the CRM piece very straightforward for us as we move through. And then this is just a couple of screenshots. We're releasing Lightning, Salesforce Lightning integration, as well as ServiceNow. So again, this is an example of bringing our platform into those solutions. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about too is global round trip latency optimization. So what this means, and I'm going to actually show you where this exists. So let's just go back here real quick. If we go to our users and we show our user, we look, any user basically, we go to location, you're going to create your own regions. And then if that user is in a specific region, you can create a condition in the routing in the scenario for the region. So the second piece of this is going to be in the find agent block. So we can actually do region-based routing. And what happens is it optimizes latency and the recording stays in region. So what happens is it's a property that is usable in routing. So if you want to keep the call local, or if you want to allow it to be moved to another destination over time, this allows us to avoid having the call cross the ocean twice. So in our presentation here, you'll see that there's an example. This customer is calling in. We're routing them to the UK. Somebody calls in for Australia. We're just keeping it within Australia. It doesn't have to cross the US twice. But it's all one account, so you don't have to have separate accounts for this. It's routing it by region, and it's a way of optimizing latency for us and really just allowing us to keep the calls local. So sometimes this could be for compliance, it could be for latency. There's different use cases, but overall, it's local, local to recording storage, remote site switching, and it's region-aware routing. So you'll see here that we can route it to the UK, or we could just route it directly to the US. But it's just kind of to give you an idea of how we're doing this. So I think this is very important, especially if you're a global company. You're going to be able to keep your call routing local versus having to cross the ocean twice, or having it all come into one central location and then routing it from there. It's making the region-aware routing available to our customers. All right. So I think that's a good overview for us. At this point, I'll turn it back to Shelby for the Q&A section.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. We did get some good questions in, so let's go ahead and take care of those for our customers. The first one we got in was just asking about when these features are going to be available.
So it's going to be part of our spring release, and Sergey Konstantin, would you like to address that?
Yes. Yes, this is Sergey Menchikov. I'm product manager with BrightPattern. And for spring release, because of the amount of changes that we made to the user interface and the server side of the things, we are not automatically upgrading anyone to it. So we'll be giving sandboxes and having customers to try how it works and things like that, and then transitioning from one environment to another if they so desire. We expect the availability of this to be in May for this process.
Okay, and Sergey, are there any customers trying it out currently?
Yes.
Okay. The next question came in during the customer recognition and context recognition section. He said this stuff is excellent. Is there automation to push some of this information into Salesforce or other CRMs?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say that we have integrations with our own internal CRM as well as external. So part of the workflow, part of the scenario, we can automate the data exchange. So the idea is that we can aggregate data from multiple systems, bring it into the unified desktop, and then push out things like activity records and recordings even to other external systems. And again, with that, with the widget that we're adding, that's going to make it so that we can really do this with any other CRM. Anything you want to add there, Sergey?
No, you did a pretty good job describing this.
All right, thank you.
Great. On the agent desktop, is there a way for agents to see how long the customer has been on hold?
So a customer that they're currently handling, is that right?
Yeah, I think a customer that's coming in.
Yeah, so you'll be able to see it at the top left when you're on that interaction when they're put on hold on a voice call.
Okay.
Now another thing too is well, real quick, let me just mention this. So if we're on a chat here with this person, if our system is smart enough to, if we just pick up and call, for example, our system is set up and it's smart enough to know that this person is calling from a specific phone number, so we can escalate it to a voice call. So we can either call Nick back, or Nick can call us, and we just again are switching channels to that, and then we can put them on hold, and then we're able to track how long they've been on hold too.
Great. And one customer is asking if these features are available for all service levels, specifically the report customization, wallboard editor, and AI assist.
All service levels. So it's available for all services on our platform, all of the voice and chat, and I mean we're channel agnostic, so I guess by service levels they mean just the services. So yes, it would be, these features would be available on a per service basis.
Okay. And how are you getting around different accents for transcribing and voice bot purposes?
I think that's a good question for Sergey.
Yeah, well, it depends on the underlying system. So at the moment we are integrated with IBM Watson, and it supports a number of languages. And it's pretty good in transcribing my Russian accent, so my experience is positive. But we are not going to restrict our customers to just one transcription provider. We're already working on adding more so that we could select best of breed for any particular application.
Great, thanks, Sergey. Next question, did you separate the web calls and chats? Currently, the system views the web calls as chats.
It's at the moment it's the same interface, but we are aware that there is a way to optimize this, and we're working on it.
Okay. Does the new form builder have conditional routing?
It actually is. There is a way to specify condition at the button action that will mean that if that condition is satisfied, it goes to a specific page.
Okay. The next question, how many ways are there to identify customers?
Oh, there's actually a lot. So the first thing we try in identification is our internal contact database. If that is not working, I mean, if we are not finding anybody, then we're using external CRM integrations. And if we find a match there, we'll actually import data and cache it in our local contact storage. There is also a way to do identification through data augmentation. So, for example, if the call arrives on agent desktop without being identified, you can click Augment button and have their number or email address run through the external data augmentation provider and create contact record on the spot while confirming their identity if they're on the phone or chat, for example. And of course, there are still methods to do that from scenario as they were in our previous release.
Yeah, I think also you can pass data to the scenario. Like if they're logged in, we can identify them based on login. So yeah, there's several ways, like Sergey mentioned, to identify customers.
Okay. Can you start a workflow from within a scenario?
It's based on a specific trigger. Go ahead, Sergey.
Yeah, it's one of the triggers for workflow is disposition. So if you in scenario will set a specific disposition, the workflow will be started. But the main idea of workflow is to be able to be launched outside of any interaction. So that, for example, when the agent has finished the work and they finished after call work and all the calls and emails and chats are gone, when they set a specific disposition, you have a chance to fire a workflow that will have access to all the scenario data and do some updates after the fact.
Okay, thank you. Does the case management support voice channels or only email?
It does support voice channel. You can either create or find and associate a case with a voice call, and that voice call history or chat or any other interaction that you have in context. When you have a case open, it will go into that case's history. If you have multiple cases open, you will have a choice of which case history should be applied to.
Yeah, and here's an example of that. This is a voice call, and it's part of the case. So we're actually just putting the transcription and the voice call as part of that case.
Great, thanks, guys. Next question, for the Watson transcription, which languages does it support? Specifically, does it support Turkish?
I cannot recall off the spot, but that could be looked up online. Watson speech-to-text service languages, and there is a lot, so there is a good chance that it supports Turkish. I cannot say off the bat, I'm sorry.
Okay, we can follow up with that question then. Moving on to the next question, do we need to learn and use Jaspersoft and BPXML to modify reports?
today, our built-in reporting system is still using Jaspersoft templates, but the customization system lets you do things like selecting columns or renaming them or renaming the reports without modifying the template. So there is a little bit more flexibility built in on top of the Jasper templates.
Okay. This next question is a little bit specific to the company, but we'll go ahead and give it a try. In the CRM, we have company contact history. Can we also store licenses for a customer, for example, or products of the company? Is it possible to add new types to the CRM?
The contact object can have custom fields, and you can display those custom fields on the details page. Details page is actually a form, and you could place any additional controls on it, displaying custom data from contact. And the same way with case also. So I guess, yes, this is possible.
Yep.
Okay. Do you guys have an out-of-the-box WhatsApp integration?
Unfortunately, WhatsApp all of these years stayed. It's the only messenger that hasn't released a published API. There is a unofficial API, but the problem with it is that it's very easy to integrate with, but it can change at any moment. So if you announce the services based on this, it might stop working unilaterally at any point of time after that. So we, although we have had this integration in the lab for a very long time, we are not releasing this until they have a supported API published.
Yeah, and that's definitely not a Bright Pattern limitation. That is totally a WhatsApp limitation. It's just kind of the way they've done things over the years.
Okay. Is there going to be an extra charge for the AI voice transcription?
Yes.
We are connecting the external service. So for a voice transcription, you would have to sign up with IBM Watson. It's not terribly expensive.
But it's an additional charge though for that.
Yes. And you have additional controls. You can specify whether you want it turned on or off and which services you would like to transcribe. So you could do partial transcription. You can see how it works, whether it works for your organization, doesn't have value, and then either turn it off or continue. It's not a something that you have to subscribe for a year and then wait for it to recoup your costs.
Okay. I think that's the bulk of the questions. There were a few others, but I think we might want to just follow up separately. They're a little bit specific to their company situation. So if we didn't get to your questions, we'll make sure to download all of these questions and follow up with you later today or tomorrow. No, thanks. So I also wanted to say thank you. Thanks to all of our loyal customers that have been leaving reviews on sites like Capterra and Software Advice. We've been reaching out to you and asking you for a lot of support in this in the last year. And with your help, we've earned a handful of awards and achievements in 2017. And we were also just recently placed as a market challenger by Ovum Consulting. So a big part of that was just because you guys were willing to talk to them and represent us in a good way, talk about our technology in a positive light. On the next slide, Nick, if you can move to the next one. If you haven't left a review yet, please feel free to do so on any of the websites that are on this slide right now. It would really help us out. And like I said at the beginning of the presentation, we are recording this, so we'll make sure to get it out to you either today or tomorrow, as well as follow up with any unanswered questions. But with that, we're reaching the end of our presentation, and I would just like to thank everyone for joining us today. Nick, thank you for the great demo.
You're welcome.
And yeah, everyone have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Thanks. Bye.